In the tapestry of life, where every thread holds a story, America in black and white emerges as a haven for the voices echoing through the heart of our communities. In this podcast, we wade through the rivers of our collective experiences, celebrating the vibrant hues of change brought forth by the whispers of hope and the roars of action. It's more than just a conversation. It's a journey into the heart of our society, illuminated by the light of those daring to dream and do. Join us, and let your voice be the melody that guides us toward a dawn where every color finds its place in the masterpiece of our shared destiny. Together, let's paint a future brimming with the positives that dwell in our minds and the actions that shape our world.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of America in Black and White, where we discuss the issues that plague the underserved and marginalized communities and the people that are here to best help to solve and to give a hand in making this a prosperous and future path for those that need to come forward. Today on the podcast, we're thrilled to have Skyler Simon, a seasoned business professional in technology, management, and customer relations with several years of experience helping organizations transform the way they work. Now based in Atlanta, Georgia, Skyler was originally born and raised in Paterson, New Jersey, and is the eldest of 8 children from his mother and the middle sibling of his father's children. Skyler attended South Carolina State University from 2007 until 2009, and then transferred to Coastal Carolina University, where he graduated in 2015 with a BA in Art Studio. While attending Coastal Carolina University, Skyler was initiated as a member of the Kappa Alpha Psi in spring of 2012 and mentored high school students in the area. Skyler is passionate about business, technology, professional development, and managing personal and professional image to increase outcomes. In his current position, Skyler is the senior project manager responsible for e-commerce implementations and integrations in the hotel industry, enabling them to operate more efficiently and effectively. Outside of work, Skyler enjoys spending time with his fiance, working out, playing pool, and creating art when time permits, bringing his creativity and dedication to everything he does. Get ready for an insightful conversation packed with tips, stories, and actionable advice from one of the best in the industry. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce you guys to Mr. Skyler Simon. Welcome to the show, sir.
Hey everybody, good afternoon, Mr. Charles. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Is there anything you'd like to add to your bio that I've read before we get into the show?
No, sir, you did an excellent and wonderful job, might I add.
Well, I definitely appreciate that. And so what we're going to do is we'll start out with your career in IT because and thinking about today's time and the things that are going on with IT, that is from networking to AI, there's just a lot happening right now, and it's happening so fast, and it's happening every day. Can you tell us what inspired you to pursue a career in IT?
Okay, well, for me, when I was coming into school, I think I initially went just because I wanted to try to better my outcomes.
Mhm.
So I wanted to go to college, and when I did initially go, I studied art education just to try to get something that I knew how to do. Maybe not the best plan for everybody, but still intentionally, I knew I wanted to be in business. So a lot of my jobs that I held while I was in college were opportunities that allowed me to have visibility in front of people and show them that, I could be trusted with a level of work. And so when I got out of school, I actually applied for multiple IT roles. I've always been interested in computers, and I knew that this would be an area that was going to continue to thrive throughout time more than likely. So I wanted to set myself up in the industry that was going to always have opportunities, along with being connected to business. So these are the things that originally kind of interested me about IT. And some of the top companies had all of the IT positions available. So
Mhm.
a lot of applying, but definitely the ability to learn and show that business perspective to people when dealing with IT was something that intrigued me a lot.
Okay. So are you finding this to be something that's fulfilling for you, or is it something that you're adding to a repertoire of many things that you're doing?
I would say this is a fulfilling career for me for sure. I love IT, so it was something that always interested me, even at a younger age when computers started to become available around the community. So myself, definitely, this is what I wanted to do, but it's not the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is to continue growing and improving myself and moving into leadership roles, which continue to show my ability to perform.
Okay. Well, that's good stuff there, because I'm sure that experience is going to be everlasting anyway, because we're never going to stop using IT.
Yes, sir, indeed.
Can you describe your journey in the IT industry so far?
Yes, sir, for certainly. Originally, I started in custodial work with Airmark, who I'm currently with now. But
Mhm.
as you stated earlier in my bio, most have heard that I studied art studio. So
Mhm.
I do not have a traditional IT background or business for that matter. I just was highly interested in these items, and I knew that getting a bachelor's degree would allow me to apply for jobs that just required me to have a bachelor's degree. So,
Mhm.
with that being in mind, I started when I got out of college. I needed a job. Mostly everybody gets out of college needs a job to pay back the money that they borrow. So
Yes.
I started working. I was fortunate to find an opportunity with Airmark as a custodial shift supervisor, and I used my experience from working in facilities while I was in college because I knew that this would be beneficial at some point, even if it was to take me into the area that I ultimately wanted to work in. So I held that job for 3 years, and then my first opportunity to go into IT role came from Deloitte, who, when I was transitioning from Airmark originally, we were over account, and the account decided to go with another company. And at that point, they decided to place managers in different roles with other locations. At the time, I was working in the hospital environment. So I had always been applying to these roles while I was holding my entry level roles, just to try to get that visibility with recruiters.
Mhm.
And I was fortunate enough that Deloitte reached out to me maybe 2 weeks before we transitioned from the hospital and interviewed me for the role. And on the final day of our company being at the hospital, they actually called me to offer me the position for that role in
Oh,
IT.
wow.
So, if for those that don't know, Deloitte is one of the top accounting firms on the planet, more than likely. A hard job to get. I think I saw somewhere back in the day that more people get accepted into Harvard than are accepted as an opportunity for Deloitte. So, I felt myself very fortunate for these opportunities. And this opportunity allowed me the initial exposure into the IT environment. So initially, I took a role where I was a consultant and I worked on multiple projects for Deloitte across the country, traveling Monday through Friday, coming back home on the weekends and going right back out again.
So give us this little background. Tell us, how was the transition, or how was the transition from Patterson, New Jersey to Atlanta, Georgia?
Boy, I wish I had pictures. Um, my years in Patterson were different. In my years where I am now. I grew up in an area that late 80s, early 90s, troubled location and area. in New Jersey. Still, nonetheless, none of those items affected me. I was very fortunate to have a wonderful mother, a God-fearing mother who instilled the Bible in us at early ages. So I was blessed to be able to have this guidance on myself where I was able to know what I should be doing. I at least knew and understood, right and wrong. Didn't always do right, I at least understood the concepts. I wasn't really a trouble youth in Patterson. I always had an understanding that I wanted to go to college. And so, as much as I could, along with my mother's, guidance, definitely kept myself on a straight and narrow path as much as possible outside of a few points in my career. We moved from Patterson, I want to say in 2003, and we came to South Carolina. I think I was a sophomore in high school by that time. And I started to kind of transition and get a little bit more serious about myself because I was around opportunities that started displaying, some things that I thought I could take advantage of. So when I originally came from Jersey, I was maybe a little tougher on the exterior wise and maybe more closed out. I started to be more willing to be open to things that I originally didn't think I could be to. Uh, I was able to get a job, and my first job at Publix, helping me straighten up even more. So as I got older, a lot of the things that I knew I would become faced with, like getting ready to decide if I wanted to go to college, deciding what college, deciding how I was going to pay for college, all of these things required me to get a little more serious about myself between the age of 15 and 18 for sure. So by the time of getting to my senior high school, I definitely had gotten to the point where I understood what I was trying to do, at least in the initial stages of graduating. I wanted to go to college for sure. The military was an option. I was even taken to Fort Jackson a couple of times to be shown the base, just because people ultimately liked how I carried myself in public at work. And so all of these opportunities just helped me begin to be more serious about myself and get into the first stage of what I consider being an adult was going out on my own to school.
Wow. So I'm assuming that that overall experience is panning out for you, and it's actually been a bright one for you.
Definitely, for sure. I feel all of you definitely got to take into consideration the people that you get to meet through these paths. So if I didn't move from New Jersey, I couldn't even tell you what I would have become because I know although I had the intention to be what I am currently,
Mhm.
the environment tends to try to shape you while you have your own intentions as well. So
Mhm.
you really have to be strong minded and stick to these goals of yours, and you have to adjust them as much. But when you're actually working and doing what you know you're supposed to do, then you'll see these benefits. People will tell you like, "Oh man, you're amazing at this," or they even notice things that you change about yourself from your friends and your family. So definitely coming into down south from New Jersey allowed me to experience more from the environment that I grew up in.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I know the audience is going to love this interview, but I want to tell you that I'm really proud to hear of how you reshape things and how you are shaping your own future and you're making those decisions because that's
Thank you.
very, very important, especially you being a young black man.
Yes, sir, indeed.
What are some of the biggest challenges you faced in your IT career?
Hmm. I I think initially when I started working for Deloitte, my initial challenge, at least there, was traveling. I think I hadn't been familiar with a workload of traveling in the amount that I was going to be doing it in. So I felt like I was always competent enough to learn any type of position if I'm given the opportunity, of course. And so the traveling definitely is a piece if you're taking roles that are heavy with traveling that
Mhm.
you have to learn how to work with in multiple areas. So not just work and being able to complete assignments, manage your projects in a timely manner. You have to remember to get to your flights. You
Mm.
have to remember to, do certain things before you leave for your flights because you won't have the opportunity to address those things, whether it be personal or professional. You have a lot to do surrounding the traveling piece. It sounds fun. It was. I definitely benefited from visiting a lot of places, but that was the most challenging piece of getting into the IT role that I was in with Deloitte.
Okay. And how do you stay updated with the latest trends in technologies in IT?
Well, for me, I'm fortunate enough because of my role that I'm always on calls dealing with technology updates with my leaders. We have company meetings that make us aware of services and IT and technologies that we'll be implementing soon. We work on some of these technologies in regards to my current position where I have to QA them and make sure that they are actually up to the standard of the customers that we're going to be serving.
Okay. And what skills do you believe are essential for success in the IT field?
You have to be, and I want to be careful how I say this. You have to be a little OCD, a little anal about your position with IT because of how you will actually. Your work is not like an operational work. You have to make sure your work is up to standard because it's more than likely visible by the entire company and you don't get chances typically in IT to mess up and correct things depending on what you're doing. If you're coding, if you put something in wrong, you mess up the entire site or whatever it is you're building. These items, you're gonna have to master the level of tediousness that you might need to pay attention to all of the things you're seeing, especially if you're on a computer the entire day for your position or in your career. So definitely just paying attention to what you see the most.
So being meticulous uh, could be either an uptick or a downfall.
It could. In this industry, I would say it would be an uptick for sure. A lot of the people that you'll work with in these IT roles who are in, senior roles that may be C-suite, you see that a lot of how they manage themselves is really tedious to the point of information. They need information. They know information. They have it readily available. They're always up on these small items that, for most people that don't deal with IT in the manner that we do, they they're more lax about stuff regarding computer items. And so when you do like this job, it's not going to be something you have to make yourself do. More than likely, a lot of times, you're going to want to do the things if you're interested in working in IT because your work validates how competent you are.
Oh wow. Now that I've never heard before, but I can definitely understand that from the context in which you put it, because now with everything hanging so far on just hanging and hinging on technology, you have to be up on that game and you got to keep moving and making it as it changes because you have to constantly change as it changes.
Yes, sir, indeed. And things happen in IT where there needed changes immediately
Mhm.
to systems that are affecting, entire companies. So, definitely I think there was a Microsoft outage a couple of months ago that affected almost the entire world. And so at least anybody that was using it yourself, you're aware that is also so definitely that the seriousness of IT when dealing with these systems that people are interfacing with every day, you have to be on your game. I mean, I can't stress it enough because you have people above you who are not only on their game, but they're also checking to see if you're on your game. If
Mhm.
you're in particular roles that are, high up in the company where If you don't take care of this, it won't be done.
Mm. So, can you share a memorable project you worked on and its impact?
Um, Most recently, in my current position, we onboarded a management company. I believe they had 125 hotels altogether. We piloted maybe 20 of those hotels to make sure that our processes were correct for how they wanted to operate utilizing the system. So they definitely enjoyed my attention to the project, and they have definitely made it aware to my leaders that they would like to work with me going forward. My team and my leader made me the main contact, of course, for this management company. And just again, giving me more visibility around the company as well to show that I can be trusted with large scale projects that are, bringing in millions and millions of dollars for companies where they're not having to feel like, hey, we have to check on Skyler because this is a serious project. If we lose this, this is big money for the company. Now leaders can look at what I've done previously from these projects based on client recommendations, and really decide from that point, hey, we can trust Skyler with additional work and things of that nature that carry this type of scale.
Hmm. So, with that being said, how do you approach problem solving in IT?
Problem solving in IT, you need to jump on these items as quick as possible. And that's the best item. I would say keep all emails. And these are just things that if you're working in these corporate environments, you're probably already aware of. But IT has so many touch points that something you worked on 3 months ago could come up and be an issue. And you need to be able to reference that item 3 months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago. And you need to be able to get to the information, I would say, as quickly as possible so that you can start addressing any issues that you're going to see or that customers are reaching out for. So definitely be up on your emails, addressing items as quickly as possible. Definitely when you're working in a remote environment, because it's easy to get uh, lax in these roles from home. You don't have a manager like you would in the operation standing over you and checking on your work every hour and hour. Could happen in IT. You could receive a lot of calls, but you have to be a self-starter and you need to be able to jump on these items, provide as much detail as possible, and be able to correct it, of course, when they do arise.
So, do you have a favorite part of IT that you prefer over any other one?
For me, IT, I definitely love teaching people about systems. Currently in my role, that's primarily some of my main responsibilities. So just helping people, for me, what IT is a joy. I love helping people in general. So my job is to help people with solutions. They're coming to my company because they more than likely are not happy with the service that they are receiving from another company, and they're looking for ways to improve it. So my job is easy in IT because I already know what I'm doing and I'm competent at my job, and I know how to address the issues that the teams are coming to me about, whether they're um, originally onboarding or maybe they're in a change in management situation where they're moving from company to company and they have questions about how they might continue to use these systems or will things change. So, as many problems as you can bring to me, it just makes me happy because if there's things to address, these are opportunities for me to show my work.
So, for our audience, or the people that are watching that are aspiring to get into this industry and do some of the work that you're doing, what advice would you have for them?
Well, my initial advice would be not to study art studio. So you can actually come out of college and maybe jump into the IT field a little faster. Myself, I didn't take a traditional path, so I don't want to use my path as an example. But what I would say to help people understand, or maybe decide if they want to get into this, is even though depending on the role, you need to decide if you're looking to work in IT because you want to work from home. And I do have a lot of people who reach out to me like, "Hey, Skyler, you know about any IT roles that are remote?" And I'm like, you know how long I've been working before I got one remote job. So, it's not that easy to just jump into these roles, and they're attractive because they do provide flexibility for you to be able to, work in multiple areas. You're not having to be at home. You could work wherever you are as long as you have computer and internet. So I would say if it's something you seriously want to do, you need to be thinking about this at the high school level. Um, you also need to still address yourself in a professional manner, image wise, because the people that are going to more than likely give you an IT job are going to be people who are dealing with people at high levels in the company. IT jobs aren't typically roles that are, there are entry level roles in IT, but these roles are still dealing with high level people with companies. So, well, within the company. So definitely your image, definitely making sure you're getting up on this information early. If you're a high school student going to college and trying to decide what you should study regarding IT, I definitely recommend any IT majors, business, management, definitely. So you can definitely get into these roles a little easier taking that path. My path was a little longer. I had to do other roles to prove my value professionally, and that I could be trusted in an operational setting.
So, what advice would you give to someone that wanted to take IT to the entrepreneurial level?
For those folks, I also still recommend that you find a way to get the information or knowledge that it is that you're going to build a company based on. So if you want to manage an if you want to create an e-commerce company, you want to get into some type of IT role that deals with e-commerce. If you're looking to create an app, you should work with people who have created apps so that you are getting this guidance. There has to be some type of learning component before you try to start this business. And the best ways to get that information typically are to take some type of, job where you're going to be in an entry level role, but you're learning the base of things. It could be, maybe you volunteer. Maybe you just volunteer to do a opportunity for people who may be looking for the work, whether it's just learning and just being able to see hands-on experience. But definitely you want to make sure you get this experience before you try to jump into these industries. Because even myself now being in this role, the aspects of IT from all angles are definitely hidden even to some. You are not aware of some of the things that you'll need to be able to address trying to create a IT company. So as much experience as possible you could get, whether you're working in roles, whether you're working alongside of people who are giving you this knowledge. Maybe you're paying from this knowledge. You're learning from, mentors or leaders who are some type of way giving this knowledge away through classes, courses. You just want to be competent because you got to think that the companies that are going to be your competitors, they focus on being competent and being the best at what they do from their particular segment in the industry.
So, how do you balance technical skills with soft skills in your role?
I was fortunate because I was in leadership roles. I was forced to learn a lot of these soft skills that I maybe didn't have. Being able to talk to folks, being empathetic about people's situations. All of these key requirements that are needed to be good leaders. You can need them in IT to an extent, depending on what your role in the facet of it is. So some IT uh, positions don't have you interact with customer facing environments. So you don't have to talk to anybody. You may not need to get on the phone. You maybe don't have to get on video calls. So that's a different level of IT versus somebody who does have to get on a call, maybe train associates, explain systems, and understanding how to explain that to the people who aren't in IT. So definitely, you know, I was blessed to get that experience early through not just my management roles, but a lot of the earlier roles that I held before I went to college. All of these roles that allowed me to be in front of customers and display my ability to talk with them, to laugh with them, to understand them, and most importantly, in all roles, to help them.
So, what are your thoughts on the future of IT and emerging technologies?
I would tell anybody focus on looks like AI is going to be the next. It's literally already. You may be too late to jump in. I don't want to say that because technology is one of those things that's always changing. So the technology today won't be the same as the technology tomorrow. You know, we can look at this through just the iPhone, or you got the desktop computer. Now you can walk around with your computer anywhere you are in this world now. And so this just are examples to show you that technology is always changing, and definitely AI is the next level where it's being implemented across the entire planet, if I could say that comfortably. Companies are adding this to everything they're doing now to better help their clients make informed decisions. So definitely, if you're interested in IT, I would recommend paying attention to the AI industry. Cybersecurity is definitely a big area because a lot of these systems are being attacked daily by people who are, they wake up and they do this. They cause trouble on computers, I say. So that industry is always there if you're looking for a segment in IT where you know that it's going to continue to grow. Um, those two, AI and cybersecurity.
Well, let's do a word association game.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a word, and I need you to tell me the first thing that pops in your mind.
Yes, sir.
First word is career,
CEO.
religion,
Religion, I have to say Christianity.
travel,
Travel, Japan.
focus,
Determination.
vision,
Meditate.
management,
Leadership.
leadership,
Leadership. Character.
help,
Help. Help, not fear.
solutions,
Confidence.
motivation,
Let's see. Motivation. Again, I would use probably maybe hmm, motivation. I would just say self-determination.
Okay. Now, these are just words that you used in as we were just discussing IT. And so I want to ask you, of those 10 words, which is the most important to you and why?
Ah, what did you say last? You said
Motivation.
motivation. Motivation, I would say, is the most important to me. And the reason being is because you're really the only person who can motivate you. And if you really understand that at the level that I'm trying to convey it, then you will be successful at anything in life. And this is something, it can be suggested. I won't say it can be taught. People can suggest motivation to you, and this is what you typically hear. People are, they're bigging you up is what it's called. They're you trying to get you to believe in yourself, but you have to be motivated, which just means you believe in yourself at a level that somebody else or nobody else does to do what it is you're trying to do in this world.
Oh wow. That's not that's interesting. So as detailed as that is, like when it comes to yourself and your career, how does motivation relate to you?
Well, I'll just give you the pathway that it took to get into this senior leadership role with my company. So, as I stated, I did initially start in custodial work with Airmark as a supervisor, but before I got into my roles in my career roles, when I was in college, I was working. I always worked, and the reason that I worked, number one, because I needed money, right? College student, you always, but I knew that I was able to change my outcomes with work. It wasn't the only way, right? There are multiple ways you could do this, but for me at the time when I was in college and needing some of these resources, the one thing that I knew I had to do was work. So even friends that if people talk to about me to this day, they know that I value working seriously to the because of what I was able to do with work, I was able to change at least my situation for myself for sure, and put me in a better situation each time. Sometimes I held multiple roles. I worked two or three jobs throughout college, and you know, at the same time while still attending school, and to get to the point of which I am. I was I had to stop attending school at a point because I ran out of financial aid. And, this at one point just gave me some thoughts that I might not be able to finish college. But my college reached out to me and offered me a job working for the university because that would pay for me to complete the remaining classes that I had. So I had to do a couple of things then. Number one, I had to work overnight while I was in school full time in the morning. I also had a second job that I worked at Best Buy from 5 to 9 at the same time that I had the full time job with the university and going to school. So it's just some items of motivation. When you're serious about something, you're gonna make it happen. Whether you got the time to do it or not, you're gonna make it happen. And so I had already been faced with a lot of these trying situations as far as being able to motivate yourself to get through different points in your life that could have been difficult.
Mhm.
So this was easy once I moved into some of my higher career positions where I was able to understand the seriousness and display it at the same time to my leaders where they didn't need to coach me into these areas. I was already prepared most of the
So let's transition over to supply chain management.
time.
Can you tell us how did you transition from IT to supply chain management?
Well, I actually work in both environments. My role is IT, but I actually work in a supply chain environment for the company known as Avenger, which is just a company Airmark owns, and they focus primarily on the group purchasing organization side of things, and I and supply chain. My apologies.
Mhm.
So my my particular role, I am the senior implementation specialist who, as I said, pretty much a senior project manager, and I manage the life cycle of these projects on the technical side from start to finish. So getting into, I think you asked, getting into that role.
Mhm.
Um, I came over from another IT role from a previous company I was with, so it allowed me to transition a little easier.
Mhm.
Before I came from that previous role, I was actually with Airmark again
Mhm.
for my second stint in a senior operations manager role within their hospital systems. Still dealing with the facility management side of things, but I already was aware that I wanted to get back in IT, having worked for Deloitte previously and seeing the opportunities that I would be presented with, at least career wise.
Mm.
So,
So,
oh, go
what
ahead,
are
Mom.
the, what are the key differences between working in IT and supply chain management?
Well, IT, and I'm glad you separated because they are two different environments, even though I work in both of them. For the IT side of things, the supply chain people typically don't know what's going on. So when they're reaching out to me, definitely it's trying to understand the part of the system that their clients are using that I happen to know about. On the supply chain side of things, it's about knowing how the suppliers are typically interacting with the customers. These are some of the contractual items with how they might have to use a supplier. Could be in regards to pricing. It could be in regards to multiple different avenues, but the supplier side of things deals more with the relationships, and the IT side of things deals with more of the technical aspect.
Okay. So, so when I think, because when I think about supply chain management, I do understand, as you said, as you broke that down. But so let me take that to another step, is what I think is another step. So what happens then when you go to the inventory management part of that? How does that fit into that box?
For me, I see these aspects, but I don't have to deal with them as as much. That's gonna be, and I have kind of like a counterpart, I would say, in supply chain where the properties are getting two types of assistance. They're getting assistance from myself, who is managing the technical project concerning the e-commerce platform that they'll use, and then they're getting the assistance from the field service customer service manager who actually manages the relationships between the property and their suppliers, making sure properties understand how they need to order to get the most bang out of their buck, where they may be ordering that is actually costing them money, and all of these different areas where they can help improve spend inventory wise. We typically, the company, control the inventory for some of these key suppliers through collaboration, of course, being that they're a part of the group purchasing organization. So we make sure that things that are needed for specific clients are available through contractual elements.
Okay. Can you explain the importance of technology in modern supply chain management?
Oh man, definitely reporting wise, I think it's a big key.
Mhm.
Outside of e-commerce, which is definitely, I would say, one of the main environments that customers are going to interact with for technology, especially if they're dealing with companies where they're using some type of software as a service. So they need to access that software. So
Mhm.
you definitely want to just make sure that it's up and running to the capacity that they need it to be.
Wow. So, oh wow. So it seems like for the work that you do for your company right now, it's like, I mean, everything you do is about them making money primarily. Um how I mean, is it difficult for you to actually separate what you do in IT and supply chain management? Because it seems like they're both so detailed and meticulous.
Well, for the supply chain side, it's more knowledge based. So it's about knowing what's going on with particular suppliers, so that I maybe can give a better guided approach to things when customers do maybe reach out and are asking about supply chain items. I do have avenues that I'm able to refer customers to when they do reach out. Of course, like I said, field service, customer service manager is able to address a lot of the contractual items with
Right.
the suppliers. And not that I don't possess this knowledge, I'm not always needed to present it unless it could be in a point where we could have a client that could be maybe thinking about other options, and really being able to tie the technical aspect to the supply chain side of things for them is where I benefit, or they benefit from my interaction.
Mm. So, what strategies do you use to optimize supply chain processes?
So, as far as any that I deal with, we communicate typically with the technical teams with these suppliers. That would be, for example, Granger, HD Supply, US Foods. We work with the technical leaders to make sure the customer facing end of the system is correct. We have calls with our field service and customer relationship managers to stay up to date on supplier changes, any adjustments they're making to their catalogs, how they might want customers to utilize these catalogs going forward. So we're definitely informed through our multiple meetings, and definitely again my supply chain items that I need to address are more informational. People are more likely coming to me for the IT aspect of the supply chain when it's dealing with, hey, I need to place an order with a supplier, and maybe my pricing isn't correct, or maybe I'm not seeing items that I should see in this catalog. Those are the points where I do get to kind of put on my supply chain hat, do some research through some of our reporting systems to make sure they're being offered the proper suppliers. If there are any contractual items that might be preventing them from working with suppliers,
Mhm.
these are just some of the examples when I get to put that hat on and kind of venture into some of those other items that I'm responsible for.
So, how do you handle disruptions in the supply chain?
Well, our company tends to like if there are issues with things happening in areas. So, of course, the LA fires are a big topic of discussion for that area, and we, of course, have hundreds, if not thousands, of hotels just in that area concerning that LA region. So, we typically send out communication to all properties on the company group to make sure that they're aware of any delays that are going to take place with suppliers because of these items.
So, using those fires out in LA as an example, so how would you guys strategize if you actually had to uplift and move maybe just like things for those actual locations or the people in general? How would you guys strategize to move?
Most of that's done on the field service and customer relationship manager side. They are responsible for mainly reaching out to customers and making sure things are, they're not having any issues. At least they're aware of, delays, and if there are things that need to be done to still help customers receive items that they definitely need for properties. The field customer service team works with those properties to try to address some of those items, whether it be ordering from another supplier in the meantime until, these delays are removed, or, definitely looking in different avenues to try to get the property what they need without holding up service.
And so, what role does data analytics play in supply chain management?
Data analytics plays a heavy role in supply chain. This is typically how the my counterparts on the relationship side of things review business plans with properties to let them know how they're ordering. They typically have, I want to say, quarterly business reviews where they're able to use these reports and show the data on how properties are ordering, where they're spending the bulk of their money, how they can improve on this spending, of course, so that they get the most optimized spending, and they're making money back from things that we give them because they're spending properly with the group purchasing organization.
Can you share an example of a successful supply chain project you led?
Again, just working with this company that I mentioned earlier, my apologies, where there are also supply chain aspects that we need to get established technically for them as far as reporting wise. It's just another step in my items that I have to address during the project life cycle. So these 125 properties all needed to have specific data ingested into the system so that it could be ready for these properties to view and use when they needed to. So For me, I don't want to say it's large because I probably do this every day, so it's it's kind of normal now. But we needed to get a bulk of the user information loaded into the system so that they had access to the reporting side of things. So again, this was successful, as I stated earlier, because the company was happy with the services we provided, and they are now one of our biggest clients that onboard regularly when they have new properties joining their management group.
Mhm. So, how do you ensure sustainability in supply chain operations?
I work here, but just a little bit. Again, we have sustainability managers. They manage making sure that the suppliers that are being chosen are you know, the right type of suppliers. They use certain products that are not harmful to the planet and things of that nature. My side is just to recommend these suppliers typically if customers are looking for suppliers that they might want to work with for particular items. I can suggest them based on different circumstances for the property.
And what are the biggest challenges in supply chain management today?
Um, at least from my role ordering, just making sure things are correct as far as how the teams need to access the system, whether it be chart of account information, maybe it's their budget forecast information. They need those items to be correct so that they can make the most informed decisions when ordering. So a lot of times properties may not even use e-commerce platforms to order. They may just call in or do things via email. So this is the biggest challenge, I think, because you have this just untapped business really, where we want to try to bring these properties on board and really get them to take advantage of the technology that's available for them because it can make work easier for them at the properties.
Mm. So, what advice would you give someone interested in a career in supply chain management?
You should know about suppliers. You should know about their relationships with the areas that they work in because the supplier relationships are going to be different based on the area that they're working in. They may not offer the same items that companies or, in my case, hotels need to actually purchase. So once you are aware of the suppliers and who offers certain things, this helps you be just more informed. And I would just say, just knowing about the key suppliers that work with businesses at the highest level. So you should know about US Foods if you want to get into supply chain. You should know about HD Supply, Granger. These are some of the top companies in the world that work with supply chain for all companies. This may just be hospitals, hotels, businesses, you name it. These companies, and you see a lot of these companies even on commercials on your TV where you might like. I don't go to Granger. I don't need anything from Granger, but Granger and US Foods and these companies supply so many of the items that you don't think about on a daily basis for most companies you deal with.
So now we're going to transition here over to community, and we're going to talk about the mentorship and the outreach programs in which you partake in, and some of the things that you do. So
Okay.
before we get to that, can you tell us first of all what is it that's like so innate into you that makes you want to do mentorship and the take partake in these outreach programs that reach out to those that really need the help?
Just seeing myself in people when I was a young guy, just trying to figure it out and maybe having an understanding of what I wanted to do, but maybe not knowing how to do it and not having the guidance where I could go to somebody that, understood how to do what it was I was trying to do, whether it was career, school, personal life, or just general knowledge. Like sometimes you just need people to talk to just because you want to get a perspective. So for me, just seeing myself in these students and wanting to give the information that I've been blessed to get from leaders and during my time working through the industries.
Mm. So, do you find it that, let's just because I know I have to, I've got some questions to ask, but as I just think about it, and I think about how you are just lending yourself, to not only be a part of the work that you do, but to do these extracurriculars. I mean, it's like it says a lot about the character in which you possess. And so, just when you think about that, do you think about maybe some things that may have transpired in your life, or some things that you have saw that maybe somebody has made an impact on you that's led you to want to do these things?
Oh, yes, sir, for sure. Definitely remembering all the people that gave me key advice that helped me align my steps better as I came from high school into college into my adult career. Really, just taking those things that they gave me out of the kindness of their heart, the information, whether how I carried myself, all these little tidbits of information, and just being able to, when I'm dealing with somebody in a mentor environment, just try to help them out and just let them know, hey, this is something you need to pay attention to, even if you don't think you need to. You want to, and, because you'll understand that this is going to be important for you at a later date as you continue to grow, you continue to age. So I think we talked through some of our conversations, emotional intelligence, just really being able to have that early. It just allows you to be able to make more informed decisions about your own life.
Hmm. So, what motivated you to get involved in mentorship and outreach programs?
Again, just wanting to help out and, needing to be a part of things initially when I was in college. We needed to join groups. I knew these things would help me be more visible around the campus to the campus leaders. So definitely, I took that opportunity to get the visibility, but as well, I knew I was going to want to be helping young people who are trying to figure out that last step because it gets kind of cloudy sometimes between 15 and 18, depending on what you're consuming in those ages. If you're not being fed, the right type of information, you might think that going to college is a bad thing. You could be fed the wrong type of information to make you think going to the military is a bad thing. You could be fed all of the wrong information for different type of scenarios, and you could be fed the right type of information. So you definitely want to just make sure you're guiding people, young people, properly so that they see character when you come to visit them. And so these all I felt I had the right type of character to be in front of people's children and giving them advice. And so I wanted to make sure that I did my part because people did this for me, maybe not in a mentorship setting, but if it was in passing, it could have been a teacher in high school, could have been an old manager who really gave me some advice that helped me get my mind straight for continuing to move through my career.
So, as you look into the camera right at this moment, tell what do you have to tell some of these young people, young men, young women, that what would they be getting from you as a mentor?
Myself as a mentor, I focus on making sure you take pride in your image. You care about yourself first because this is your business card. This is what you're going to take out into the world, depending on what you're going into the world for. And you want to make sure that people take you as serious as you take yourself because they will without telling you, and they're going to base this a lot of time off of your image. So that's, definitely that's the visual part that people can see. And then it's just making sure your mindset is right. Making sure you understand that you need a plan. I don't care what anybody tells you. I don't care what it is you want to do. You need a plan to do it. even if you wanted to cook something on the stove, you need some type of understanding of how you're going to do this. So if you don't have a plan, that's just saying that you don't know what you want to do. It's the nice way of saying it. And so you want to have a plan. You want to literally, because even when I was younger in high school, I knew that, hey, my plan from high school was easy. In 4 years, I'm going to graduate college. After college, I'm going to get a position, and I'm going to try to improve and get promoted. And so this is a plan. It's not needing to be a plan for everybody, but you need to know what you're doing with your life.
Mm, wow. Now that I think that displays character itself, and that itself is what I think when it comes to just dealing with younger people. It's kind of like something that's relative to some things that a lot are probably not hearing. They're not getting that advice, or they're just in an environment where there's just no discipline and no control. And so I think this kind of like helps them to get to the point of where they can say, I need to sit down, I need to listen, and I need to prepare, because a lot of kids are just not prepared today.
Yes, sir. I agree, and I have younger brothers and siblings. Not to get too deep into things, but I deal with these challenges as well on that side, where it's hard because if you're coming from certain environments, the environment, as I said earlier, kind of tries to mold you to a thought process of what it wants you to have. This is based on the people who also have decided not to have plans in their lives, who are now going out into the world, and they're promoting this way of moving a lot of times by how they carry themselves, things that they're into. And you don't have to be into the corporate environment, as I am. You can be you could do whatever you like to do, but you want to definitely be showing improvement, and you want to be helping people. And if you're not doing those things, then you're definitely, promoting the wrong things to people when they're looking for some type of guidance. So we talked about this again before, how, there's some people that have gone past the ages where they should have had plans, and now they're old people without plans looking crazy to all ages.
That is 500% true. 500%. Can you describe your experience as a mentor?
Um, my experience, definitely when I was in the high school environment, I was still a young man learning myself. So definitely just trying to, guide young people into getting that initial plan together. Making sure, one of the main things I would ask is, what do your grades look like? Definitely I wanted to know, how serious are you taking the grade item? And then it was, are you looking to go to college? Just want to know, are you planning steps for the next level? You need to be ahead on those items and not wait to the last minute.
Oof.
So just always being on top of them and always being a friend. Some of the people I mentored in school sometimes were, they maybe didn't have a lot of people sitting around them. Sometimes I had a lot of children sitting around because they would see me come into the school dressed up, and they would be like, what are you doing? Like, why are you dressed up? Why are you here? And even that allowed students to want to come interact with me because they saw how I carried myself and how I interacted with my mentors. Even just recently had a young man who who recognized me on LinkedIn from when I used to mentor in high school back in Myrtle Beach when I was in Coastal. Reach out to me, just saying, hey, I just want to connect and get advice on how you're successful. And I thought that was something that I definitely felt good about, because the one thing that my mother would teach me is definitely making sure that I carried myself properly in the world, so that people aren't thinking bad about our family, because how you act is automatically gonna, who raised him.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
so
you got that right.
yes, sir. So these items, just the young man reaching out just let me know that I did something right, because he wouldn't have remembered me from almost, maybe 13 years ago. And now in an older age, and saying, hey, I remember how you interacted with somebody else as a mentor, and I found value. My apologies there, Dr. Charles. So definitely just wanting to, that made me feel good, knowing that people see what you're doing, even when you don't know that they're seeing what you're doing, and they're coming back later in life, just letting you know, hey, you affected me, that, and I want to be attached to you because of who you were as a person then. You seem to be that person still, and that validates character.
Hmm. Yes, it does. How do you approach mentoring someone new to your industry, or just new to the industry in general?
Making sure they're serious about it, because depending on if the industry is IT, or depending on if you're looking to get into a corporate environment, it's just two different scenarios. Corporate environment wise, you need to be ready to be forward facing in front of customers, in front of senior leadership. If you're looking to take this type of path, you need to be presentable. As I stated, the image, I can't touch on that enough, because you're not only going to be presenting your image for yourself, you're going to be presenting your image again for a lot of different people. You're going to present your image for your family. You're going to present your image for your friends. You're going to present your image for your race. And people don't even take those small items into consideration. So, being aware of your race also is key in these environments, because we sometimes are looked at as not being competent enough to do roles in high corporate levels, sometimes, or at least that could be a stigma out there for some. And we want to eliminate that. And so that was one of my desires when working in corporate environments, to be just as desirable as anybody else, where the image was there, the competency was there, and you can't bring in the race thing. It's going to be hard now to bring up race. Like, man, yeah, he's black, but man, he is on top of it from every angle. And so you want to make it hard for them to use the things that they would typically use to hold you back. So, and you also want to, take care of that yourself. So, definitely just being aware of these different items, how to talk in situations where you're in a corporate setting. And, this isn't saying you need to sound like an encyclopedia, but you need to know what you're talking about. So, those items, corporate side wise, IT wise, I would just, again, just make sure you're serious. Hopefully this isn't something you want to get into, because it's remote opportunities. Although that is a good reason to want an opportunity in IT, the workload, depending on how, if you're in a remote environment or maybe you're in an office setting, can be sometimes daunting, because IT, they don't typically get to go home. Sometimes we're at home working on our computers, as you even see my screen here, and work is ongoing. Sometimes work may require me to look at something later in the evening. It's not always a requirement, but for the needs of the business, you may be required to extend yourself past some of your normal points, which could be time settings at work. So just making sure you're serious. Definitely corporate environments and IT environments, they're going to evolve more, um, I would say, dedicating yourself and giving time that you don't usually give to companies.
What qualities do you believe make an effective mentor?
Character. I mean, you can't mentor anybody with the wrong type of character. So you definitely want to start there and ask the question, why do you believe you are a good mentor? You want to ask yourself this before you go out and start telling people's children or anybody anything that might lead them down a path and alter their destiny. So you want to have the type of character that people would like mentoring people or children and things of that nature.
Mm. Can you share a success story from your mentorship experience?
Success story. I think one of the gentlemen that I mentored, he was, this is just from the high school side of things. He was looking to get into school. Um, he wasn't seen as a candidate that might be able to go to college or so. So, I work with him as much as I can when I would come up to the school, just kind of checking in on stuff that I could assist work wise, homework wise, things of that nature. Uh, Even though I said you can't be, you can be you could be told how to be motivated, but you got to be able to motivate yourself. So we can be the foot that kicks you or push you and into those directions. So what I did is just uplifted this young man as much as I could throughout those times, a mentor, and just really see him go into a position where he was able to get into school definitely was the highlight there.
Mm.
One of the other ones, I would say, being able to have mentors still keep in touch with me to this day. So, I have a young man who uh, he has kept up with me since his high school days, and definitely has kept me informed about his career. Reaches out for guidance in those areas when he's looking to maybe get into roles, how he should kind of operate, how he should search for roles. Definitely just helping out as much as I can, continuing to help out with this young man. So, that made me feel good. Definitely just knowing that people want to continue to be associated with me after the time of the official mentorings, definitely in the collegiate level for me.
As as you're talking about this mentorship, I want you to know that that is one of the things that's, of course, that's what we're about here at American Black and White, but that means so much, to me personally, because, as you say, I don't think I really had a mentor, but always was in search of. And
Yes, sir.
so just as getting to that point and trying to shape the way I do things and the way I learn to do things, it took a lot of structure along the way because when I joined the military, not that I needed structure, but I will tell you, it definitely gave me some structure because I didn't know the first thing about that. And so the thing that carries over most to me is like now as we pass down, because it's so important, as you mentioned earlier, for the future. And so it's like the grandkids, you know, it's the grandkids that are most important to me because it's like to have them prepared and ready to come on deck, already having some experience, some knowledge base, and some understanding of not only what they want to do in life, but where they want to go. And so for me, I want to make sure that I have a part in that because, as I listen just to those things that you were saying before, you know, you had a really good environment for you because everybody that supported you to get you to this point, they should be proud to say they have done a good job because I can honestly say that I believe myself that you're ready to go to the next level wherever you decide that next level is going to be. I want my grandchildren, to be able to elevate in that same way. And
Yes,
so,
sir. Definitely.
so as I think about that and and wanting to make sure that I can be not just that example but also to help do that boost, that means so much. And again, I got to say, it's amazing, to see someone like yourself that's so disciplined and so structured that you're able to pinpoint, one of those folks that's in as they call it Gen Z is what they call you guys, right? You're one of those folks that's in that generation that actually makes that difference. And so this is what we should be looking for, because that leadership has become out to where, I don't think there's no place that you decide you want to go that you won't be able to get there. But I just wanted to just take that time just to say that before, because it was like it was just running through my mind. So forgive me for that.
No, thank you, and I appreciate the compliment. And just to add to what you're saying, you need to know where you're going. Like I told you, like we talked about earlier, you
Yeah.
need to know that you're going to be where you're trying to see yourself be at in your
Mhm.
head. You need to be able to visualize it just as clear as we're sitting here today and talking on this phone. You need to know that inside of your head before anybody else. Well, it's wonderful that you gave me that compliment, but if I don't know that, then that's kind of like just putting a sheet on the bed with nobody in it. It's
Mhm.
there's nothing happening there. It's the covers are there, but there's nobody under there. So you want to make sure like you feel confidently about everything that somebody else is saying about you, compliment wise. And so I appreciate the compliment, and I know that I will definitely be successful because that was the plan.
Mhm. So, how do you balance your professional career with your mentorship activities?
Well, I can't say I mentor as much anymore. Definitely on a case by case. If I have people reach out to me, definitely I keep up with some of the mentors that I dealt with throughout college. I do some mentoring through the job here and there when I can, but definitely whenever I can just offer solid advice that you can take and use, just trying to always offer that to these mentors so that they can see changes, mentees, so that they can see changes in what it is they're doing and see the results so that they can know that these things work.
What impact do you hope to achieve through your outreach programs?
Again, just seeing the image approved for definitely our people. I think that a lot of times you know, we get stuck in high school sometimes, and we don't go past high school sometimes,
Mhm.
especially for men. We talked again in that age of 20 through 30, where we sometimes get stuck in fun, and a whole lot of it, and you know the getting young people to understand the seriousness of life before they start having fun will help them manage the fun to the level that it needs to be managed. So it's not saying you can't go out, can't have a good time, you can't enjoy your life with friends, but that should only be, I would say, maybe a 5% of your time in those younger years, because you need to get knowledge. You need knowledge that you don't got and you think you got it. Because especially with this world nowadays, a lot of knowledge is on the internet for people to assume they know what they're doing.
Right.
But the real knowledge comes from experience. And so definitely just getting these young people to understand image, understand they need to get out and start doing something to gain knowledge. The easiest things that I could recommend is just working. Go get a job in a field that you might be interested in down the line. If you want to deal with customers, get a cashier job so that you can get familiar with dealing with customers on that level. If you want to work in an environment where you're using your hands, look for jobs where they're giving you those type of opportunities. But just definitely making sure people understand that you need to control your image and you need to be competent at what it is you're going to want to do. And you're going to need a plan to do both of those things.
How do you measure the success of your mentorship and your outreach efforts?
If I see the young people, moving in the type of direction that, I hoped, so, again, I don't want to always try to push things like college or military or you need to do something that is going to make you happy, that you can also help people, that is a benefit to people, because like that's the reason we're here on the planet, to be of service to others. And we need others to be of service to us so that we can go to different levels in our lives. And the service doesn't always require physical things. The service sometimes just requires knowledge, so that you can be more informed. So for me, I'm happy when I see people taking the knowledge that I've given and see them uh, actively improving their lives or carrying themselves in a manner that shows that they took what I said serious. They understood, being nice to everybody, just because you don't have a reason to be mean to everybody, so
So, what advice would you give to someone looking to become a mentor?
um again, you should have the type of image that shows that you should be somebody that is considered to be a mentor. Um, you should, again, your character should be, I would say, equal to your image. It doesn't mean you have to wear a suit, but you should be presentable. You should be carrying yourself in a way that makes people feel like they want to listen to you about something. And back in the day, I can remember people in suits are always taken more serious than people that weren't in suits. Just imagine your lawyer. If you needed a lawyer and the lawyer showed up in sweatpants and sneakers, you probably won't think that lawyer is as competent as the guy who's going to show up in the suit. And maybe he is, but his appearance gave you the a wrong idea of who he really was. So, you know, just definitely making sure your image is correct for mentoring, and making sure that you actually have something to mentor somebody about. You don't want to just be saying you want to be a mentor and you can't give anybody any advice, um, that could be useful. And you just don't want to mentor everybody as well, because you could be wasting time for people who need to be mentored a specific way or in a different industry for what they might be looking to get into.
And how can organizations support and encourage mentorship and outreach programs?
Um, Organizations, depending on which organization is presenting these mentoring programs. I have, like I said, I do a lot of this through my company, and we have multiple organizations within the company that focus on mentoring leaders, that focus on connecting. I'm actually a part of a program with my company, Airmark, where we help assign mentors and mentees together based on what it is they're looking to get involved with and how they might be looking to move in regards to their career.
So, what do you have any projects that you're working on that you could share with us that's down the line?
Um, I think I won't say it's immediately down the line, but some ideas that I've had regarding mentorship. I've had things that I've thought about creating a charitable, a non-charity organization. I'm sorry, I'm probably saying that incorrect.
Nonprofit, 501c3.
Nonprofit. Yes, sir. But really just creating a program where we encourage the young people to be the mentors of the younger people that are under them. Where in schools, we identify these young people who might be, excelling at something that is within their curriculum, and maybe pair them with classmates or maybe students in the grades before who may be struggling with these same things, and allow them to get this leadership position, this leadership experience earlier, where they are in charge of helping somebody become better based on the knowledge that they possess.
And so, for yourself, with the leadership role that you're in now, is there a next step that you're ready to elevate to in your career?
Of course, there's always next steps. Without saying too much, I'm definitely looking, as I said, to be at the highest level within a company if I'm going to be a part of it. Of course, I'm looking to not base solely my career on working for somebody, but also working for myself as well. So there are things that I'm looking to start getting a part of that are going to allow me to move ultimately away from working for somebody if I wanted to. It's not necessarily a requirement, but you want to have that option within your disposal to if you don't need to work anymore or if you're being successful at something else, whether it's a company of your own, you want to be able to do that as well. You know, I try not to tell anybody base everything on a career. You want to establish something outside of work for yourself that can also help take care of you. So, but definitely, you know, without saying too much, as I said, definitely I'm looking for opportunities to move into further leadership roles with my current company, of course. And you know, I'm always welcome to hear what others think about my experience that they view, whether it be from my LinkedIn page, or whether it be from knowing me in person.
So, in closing, is there anything you'd like to leave with our audience that you want them to know? How to contact you, how to follow you, just some words of wisdom that you want to give out to them.
But if anybody needs to contact me, I can be reached at my email, SkylerSimon1987 at gmail.com. If they felt any advice that I offered today was valuable and they would like to connect with me, I can also be reached at LinkedIn. You can just search me at Skyler Simon. And I'll be happy to connect with anybody just to offer any advice or any knowledge that I possess that could be beneficial.
Well, I'd like to say, thank you for being here. And for those that are watching out there, especially if you're one of these Fortune 500 companies that are looking for leadership, look no further because Mr. Simon is right here. And this man right here is the future leader of this country. And he should definitely get that opportunity if people are looking. For those of you that are watching on the YouTube channel, I want to thank you so very kindly for watching. I would appreciate if you would just help us out by going to the YouTube channel and subscribing, as well as getting the notifications, because you'll be able to watch each and every show as they happen live before your eyes. Or if you want to go back and watch them, you can go back and watch as many shows as possible. That's past shows as well. I want to thank you guys for having for supporting us this week in particular, because this week, just like all the other weeks, have been totally positive, uplifting, and for the spiritual realm as well. In good spirits, we've had everyone that's actually done something that's helping people in the underserved and marginalized communities to realize you do not have to be stuck in one place, but you can always make a move and make your life as best as you want it to be if you put in the effort to make that move. Thank you again, Skyler, for being here. And we definitely want to have you back on the show again, because this was truly not just an awesome show from the perspective of, you sharing your experience and your work experience and the things that you're doing in the community, but it was good in the sense that people get the opportunity to see a young man like yourself that's not like the status quo or the stereotype, but someone that's here that's putting out some knowledge and some sensibilities for people to get understandings and how to move forward in their lives, and letting people know that you never got stuck. That's the important thing. So we will see you guys next week. And I thank each and every last one of you for your support. May you all have a great evening, a great weekend, and please join us again next week.